swag out there and boss. Look, is that
And welcome to another episode of the Sartorial Geek Podcast by Webster Style, where we talk about bow ties, comic books, and everything in between. I'm your host, Webster Style, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Let's jump right into the download. Now, this is a download that I'm surprised it is coming out for the system in question, in this case, the Switch, now. This is the Lara Croft collection. This is a compilation of the two Lara Croft games that came out almost a decade ago. In some cases, more than a decade ago. Something like 2010 and 2011. So I'm surprised that these games are just gracing the Switch. Now, these are action games this collection is a compilation of action games. Developer Crystal Dynamics, publisher Feral Interactive. Now penetrate dense jungles and navigate elaborate Aztec ruins in Lara Croft and the Garden of Light, and investigate the cursed tombs of ancient pharaohs in Lara Croft and the tiled temple of Osiris. Blast through hordes of supernatural foes, overcome intricate challenge tombs, beat high scores, and equip yourself with a massive arsenal of unlockable weapons, equipment, and magical artifacts. Now these games are so perfect for the Switch for handheld sort of play. They are isometric overhead camera adventures for Lara Croft, so they aren't that over the shoulder third person sort of perspective that you're used to if you played a Tomb Raider game. And I'm surprised because these games fit so well with a mobile sort of setting with the size and everything. And these games are very fun. I actually own both of these on my Xbox. I have the 360 version of Garden of Light and the Xbox, the one version of Temple of Osiris. And both of these games are really fun, very easy to drop in and drop out of as far as gameplay. Both offer autosave. So I have really have enjoyed these games over the past few years, and with the Switch is the perfect package because the price is just $39.99, but you also get all of the DLC that accompany both of those games as well in one package. So it is a really good deal for the price because they are still charging $20 for each of these games on Xbox and PlayStation, and then you have to buy the DLC separately, so you're making out with a better version on the Switch. I'm just very surprised though that the collection does not include Lara Croft Go. I think having all three of these would be a very good deal for the Switch. Now, Lara Croft Go was the mobile game that it was similar to Hitman Go, because they both were developed by IO Interactive at the time. And you have this narrative adventure you go through, but each section is a puzzle that Lara has to solve in order to go to the next level. I think that would also have been a very good part of this package and made the deal even sweeter. But unfortunately, it's not there, so it is what it is. But if you have a Switch, I definitely recommend you checking out the Lara Croft collection when it drops. Actually, it should be out now by the time you listen to this. So next up we have the Sartorial Slice, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, right. We're going back to the Sartorial Slice. I haven't picked up on the segment in a while, but a host of designers have dropped their spring, summer collections for 2023, 2024. Recently had these massive fashion shows, and one of the most high profile was Louis Vuitton, particularly because Pharrell, Neptune's Pharrell, was installed as creative director a couple months ago. So this is the first outward presentation of Louis Vuitton since he became creative director. And I would say that he did not disappoint. I am not one for fashion shows. I have never, ever enjoyed fashion shows. I thought they were boring for the most part. I'm going to say never, ever enjoyed. I just say fashion shows never really been my cup of tea. Just personally speaking, I've never thought that it was more fluff than anything personally, but this was a show, from the music to the overall presentation, how it being on the bridge in Paris, and that was the runway. It was very creative, and the outdoors aspect of it really aided to it. But let's talk about the clothes. Now, with this show, there were three main segments in my opinion. You had a lot of solid colors, a lot of checkered sort of square prints, I should say 4. You had some print prints. I'm not a fan of prints like Louis Vuitton written over stuff or big LV. I'm not a fan of those sort of items at all. I hate just big branded clothing. That's why I never understood like hype beast stuff like Supreme and Bape and all that stuff with the, you're wearing that on you. You're advertising with someone else. I never understood that, personally speaking. It's at least paying your money for it. If somebody give it to you, somebody give it to you. But if you're paying your money for it, I don't want to pay somebody and then basically be a walking billboard for them and I'm not getting paid for it. But that's my own issue. I really enjoyed, outside of the show and the music and the presentation, which is really, really amazing. It was really engaging. And frankly, the time went by so quickly watching the fashion show because you were just so engaged because of just the whole presentation. But the clothes themselves, like I said, the checkered patterns. There was just one sort of burgundy suit that was just, it was all solid color. It was amazing. It was like K-pop because the gentleman was of Asian descent. I want to say Korean. I'm not sure who was wearing it, but it popped. No pun intended. It was really, really a fly suit. But what really stood out for me was the use of, I'll call it 8-bit camouflage. So you had that sort of camouflage design, but it was very big squares, like the camouflage was very pixelated, like an 8-bit sort of motif. So you saw a lot of browns, a lot of blacks, a lot of tans, a little bit of green as well in that. And I love the mix and match of that throughout some of the outfits in conjunction with some of the solids. You saw maybe some boots with that sort of design and motif. I thought from a fashion perspective, it was fun. It was exciting. It was unique. From a style perspective, not anything anybody want to wear 4 or 5 years from now. It's not a sort of timeless thing. And I don't expect that from a lot of these designers, but I will say that the fashion show and associated clothing were really fun and I enjoyed watching it. And I'm interested to see what the fall line looks like. If I really love the spring summer line so much, fall winter 2024, I'm interested in seeing what Pharrell comes up with. So that's my take on the Louis Vuitton Men's Summer 2024 fashion show. Speaking of fashion and modeling, next up is our interview with the gorgeous Anna Foxx. Anna is absolutely breathtaking. It was hard to get a word out as I was speaking with her about her career in the adult industry, but also her transition, or I should say segue, into mainstream acting as well. But not just being content with being a performer, she has also branched out into being a producer and a director and really putting her mark or cementing her mark over Playboy. So let's get into our interview with the lovely, the beautiful, the gorgeous, the breathtaking Anna Foxx. What's going on, everybody? It is Webster Style here, the man, the voice, the fragrance. And we are here with a jack of all trades, a director, producer, actress, the one and only Anna Foxx. Anna, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us. I greatly appreciate it. Now, I wanted to ask you, and this is something that struck me as being quite incredible, especially in the adult industry. And I remember, and I know how long ago it was, and I'm pretty sure these stats are probably still similar. I remember a long time ago, they said the average lifespan of particularly female in the adult industry, because dudes are a little bit different because ain't that many to begin with, is usually 2 to 3 years. And you've been in, if I remember correctly, listened to another interview, I think it's about almost 12 years now.
Yes. Yeah. I think if my math is correct, it should be year 12 in November.
Okay.
Yeah.
How has your ride been? 12 years in the adult industry.
My God, it's kind of crazy to think that I've been doing it for 12 years because I definitely only thought I was going to do just one scene. And it's been 12 years of scenes. But it's been a kind of really cool evolution of like my performances and like myself on the same part. It's been a really fun ride, and I'm so happy that I'm here on the train.
That's awesome. I think, and especially as a woman of color, I think that's even more admirable because at least I say common knowledge of the industry. Most people think of women, particularly who have had longevity. Uh, they've always been Caucasian. They are always the ones who have kind of ascended porn stardom, so to speak, with regards to popular culture. Now, obviously, there are women with people of color that I'm familiar with, probably more so from 90s, 2000s, that era that had long careers. But in general, you don't typically hear, especially women of color, really being in the industry 10 plus years. So I think that's really incredible. And I want to ask you about that, particularly how has the shift in the industry, or what kind of shifts in the industry have you seen in the past 12 years?
Oh man. I think when I started, it was like the end of an era where it was kind of like rock and roll era of porn, where the sets were really loose. There would be like, I would show up to a house and I would do 5 scenes in a day, and the person before me just did 5 scenes, and there's a lot of people in and out, kind of mayhem, but also really fun. To where now it's a lot more professional on set. Like, I just had my first job being a liaison for talent. And then I think the money has changed. The power is no longer really in the company's hands. Like, the performers, we can make content and people can come directly to us, versus where we had to like rely on companies to give us work. So now we can just do whatever we want. It's pretty cool. It's a lot more free.
Exactly what I was going to ask you about, especially with the new direct-to-consumer economy that we have, particularly with OnlyFans and all the others. That's really all content creation now because of YouTube and everything. It's so much direct-to-consumer. How would that really changed what you do? And you kind of talked about it already, as far as there's a freedom there. I guess in many respects, you can work with who you want, shoot where you want, pretty much do what you want, and not really be beholden to, say, a Vivids or someone like that, and be like back in the day being a contract girl or something like that. Like, you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot less stressful, I think. Well, just at least for me, because like I would have to wait, for whenever they were shooting a Black movie or Black girl. Have to they don't just shoot Black girls usually on a Tuesday. Like, there's a reason, there's a Black movie or something. So I didn't have to wait anymore. Once, like, really OnlyFans, once that came out and blew up over COVID, everybody was just like, oh shit, I can do whatever I want now.
Right. Now, one of the things in preparing is that I ended up listening to a lot of podcasts from you, or with you, not from you. I don't know if anybody's ever told you this, because this is something, and once I said, you'll probably realize, he probably gets that too. This is something that people always ask me. Have you ever thought about doing radio? Because you have a great voice. Like, literally, a lot of times I'm listening, I have my earbuds in, I'm doing something around the house, whatnot, or working, and I'm listening. And you just have this, obviously sensual voice, but it's just soothing, seductive, and it's just, you can't help but want to listen to everything you have to say.
Thank you. I actually used to do a radio show on Vivid. It was Sirius 791, and I had a show every week where I would take callers, and then I would just come up with like topics and fun facts to talk about. But I didn't realize that there's so much people that expect phone sex, and I am not good at that. I have to see who I'm talking to. I can't just and they're all truckers and stuff, so they'd be like, yeah, I'm calling in from wherever the fuck, and I just want to hear you say something sexy for a minute. And I'm like, so I actually used to do radio. I think about having my own podcast all the time, but I think I have to retire because my opinion would probably get me less work.
Understood. I definitely understand. Now, one of the things I read is that you used to be a fashion model beforehand.
I tried mainstream modeling for a while, and Jesus, you really have to have confidence for a lot of things in life, and I just did not have the confidence at all. Nope. It was bad. I can do it now. Back then I was terrible at a lot of stuff.
I think we all are a bit more confident by the time we get to our 30s and 40s compared to our early 20s.
Yeah. I started modeling when I was like in my teens and in my early 20s, and I just could never like land it because like I wasn't prepared or trained for modeling. I just like, people tell you like, oh, you're pretty. So I was like, oh, I'm pretty. I just showed up. So, you know, that doesn't really get you the job, but it'd be cool to try now to do some, I've done some runway projects, but like, you know, the real deal stuff.
Right. I understand. Let me ask you about directing. How did you get into directing?
That's kind of a funny question because somebody just asked me if I would direct a movie one day, and I had never thought about it. I'm not very good at writing, but I can tell a story. So I just got my first opportunity back in 2017. Gosh, dang it. That's makes me feel old. Yeah, 2017. And then during COVID, before COVID, I got the opportunity to start producing for Playboy. And in between those two gigs, I've had like little sprinkles of directing and producing here and there. And I guess I'm pretty good at it. I like what I do. So to be able to make something that gives people the feeling of my art is kind of awesome. Like people are getting boners.
And you talk about that, and that actually is something that I came away very impressed by you. Was by your acting, like your acting, not so much the adult content. One of the things, and this is kind of a running joke as far as adult actresses and the whole stereotype of like this horrible acting, and then you hear the cheesy music come on. It's not quite like that way now, but I was really impressed that even though I saw you, I didn't see you. I saw whatever character you were playing. And I don't see that often when I've seen sort of scenes that try to tell a story. It's, you know what you're there for, and people kind of get down to it, and people can dispel that. But I really noticed that you were really acting and getting to the scene and really delivering your lines. And I came away quite impressed.
Thank you.
Well, it was different. It was very refreshing. This is a long time ago. One of the things one of my friends of mine, he talked about this is probably circa 2000-ish, or late 90s, early 2000s. This has been quite a long time since we had this discussion, but that was really kind of where we started to see the shifting from the actual longer form formats to the scenes. And he lamented on the fact that nobody acts anymore. They aren't any movies. Like it's all just a bunch of scenes put together on a videotape. And, and then a couple years later in that time you had Pirates. So you had some things that kind of stood out, but he lamented on that. And I thought about those conversations we had so far back then when I saw you and they're like, she's really acting. She's, I hear so many people talk about performing, but they talk about the intimate aspects of it, not so much the acting aspects of it. And I really came away, I say it again, but I really came away impressed by them. Like, oh, okay. And I know that you had that part in Tangerine. Are you looking to do any other mainstream acting?
Yeah, I like acting because it's fun. Like they do give you pretty cool characters to portray. I've done a couple. I was just in the Lakers documentary, The Winning Time. I got have much acting, but I got to fuck Magic Johnson, so it's pretty exciting. I had just a little bit, but any chance I can get to do any kind of project, I'm kind of down, because I don't know, I just like being able to like be be on a screen, like representing Black beauty and all that jazz. So yeah, it's acting's always fun, and I'm down for any project when I'm not, you know.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Now, you're into fashion. Are you into fragrances at all?
Yes, I am.
What is your favorite fragrance at the moment?
It's probably this perfume called Lust from Lush. I really am a bath bomb junkie. I probably have like 30 bath bombs right now. I just put like 15 more in my basket online. So I do the bath bomb stuff like every day. I smell like a bath bomb right now. I usually mix that with a whole bunch of other perfumes, and I like hearing stories about people. They're like, oh, I sniffed Rihanna and she smells so good. Or, I smelled Beyonce, she smells like money. I'm like, I want you to smell Anna. I want to be one of those legends where they're like, I sniffed her and she smells great. So I'm always perfumed up.
I understand. I'm all about fragrances myself, and there are too many bottles over there to count at the moment. So I always have to ask that question.
I love the perfumes. I like gardenia and jasmine and rose. Anything around that is like my jam. I also like the kind of masculine scents like cedar, wood, things like that, like ocean. I like all the smells, and I kind of mildly sniff everybody that I hug just a little bit.
That's cool. Yeah, I was wondering, like, what are aquatic notes? You know, they smell good, but like, what are they really?
The ocean, I've never smelled water that smelled like ocean, but...
Right, exactly. Hey, whatever smells good, that's all that really makes a difference.
Yeah.
So, okay, one of the things that I noticed as well, and this is, I don't know how interesting, but not interesting as far as different, but you have been nominated for a couple T awards as well. And one of the things that I have seen in the industry is, in many respects, a lot of those taboos are coming down when it comes to who you work with, male and female. And I find that interestingly refreshing as well. So how did you really get into, or even want to start, say, let me get into, work with some transgender actors and actresses?
This is a good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me this before, but it's really interesting because when I started like many moons ago, I had trans friends and like diverse friends that I thought that I would be able to jump in and like work with them in porn. And right away, like, porn was a lot different 10 years ago, and I was met with like, no, we don't do that here, like, no. And I would work a lot for kink, and it would just really be confusing because like I'd be in the green room with all my trans friends, and like they would go shoot, and then like we would go shoot, but in different areas, but we couldn't shoot together. And it really pissed me off. And me and my friends kind of like wanted to like change things about that. So we tried really hard to kind of get people to see that what they're doing is fucked up. Like, I don't care like what other people think about who I want to fuck. I just want to work, And if I'm requesting to work with this person, like I shouldn't be told no. I think honestly, trans porn has become more profitable. So that's why it's being pumped out all over the place. Like it's a lot less taboo because you see a lot more mainstream people like being open and things like that. I mean, I think we're open with a lot more things across the board. So with that being said, I think it's more profitable. So we're shooting it more, which is good for me because I love working with all of my friends. I don't like having a block because of a stigma.
I understood. Now, let me ask you, in kind of with that, do you think that, going back to earlier, that direct-to-consumer model has helped move that shift? Because with OnlyFans and whatnot, you see the consumers are paying the models directly. And when they're able to get their content from the models, companies would, in many respects, be stupid not to jump on the bandwagon to make similar content.
I definitely agree. I think with the whole shift in porn, with the power being in the performer's hands, you'd be crazy not to jump on the bandwagon. So I, as shady or as shitty as the past of it is, like, I'm very happy for this shift, because I think if there's to shoot in porn, no matter what you look like or what you identify for, or there shouldn't be any limitations, as long as you're a respectful human being.
I totally agree. Who you want to work with is who you want to work with. Yeah. And the market, like with any product, the market will decide whether or not it makes money. And if it doesn't, okay, maybe we shouldn't do that again. And if it does, we should keep doing it. That's pretty much how it happens. Right.
Everybody on OnlyFans is making money for a reason. So,
right.
Maybe like the formula that people are sticking to doesn't work for everybody. I think a lot of companies are afraid to switch up the formula. Like, you can see a porn scene and tell right away sometimes what the company is. By if the girl is like, "Oh my God, I've never seen it before." You know exactly what that is. But if they were to switch it up and create some new content, then it would be it would be awesome. Maybe you might get some new followers, maybe some new fans.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just thinking out my head, like, yeah, a Brazil scene when you see one, a Naughty America scene when you see one. They have a certain formula, cinematography, yeah, totally, yes.
I've played so many virgins.
Now, this is something I had a conversation with Rebel Skies a couple weeks ago, and I want to ask you this. You may not see it now, but were you, kind of what you said, like, was it hard in the beginning from being typecast?
Yes. I really thought, my little visitor here, I really thought that, I think when I was new, I was just kind of like dumb to everything. Like, like if you would be at a new job, like you don't know how to work the register or whatever. So I was just kind of like really dumb, and like I had a black agent, and I was like, I think if I get a black agent, then everything's gonna be good. I'm gonna get the best stuff for a black girl. And then my first year of scenes, like it went like where I could tell that the scene was obviously racist to where I thought it wasn't, and it would be titled racist, and it would be just a shift of those. Like if it wasn't titled something outrageous like Black Ass Bitches Volume 4, then there's like Confessed Black or something like that. And it was just kind of like, it wasn't until I was able to get on a feature set that the roles were just human. I wasn't like Black Ass Babysitter or like what? And like the titles and the themes, like they always pissed me off. Like you can tell the difference between like the budgets for the scenes, like this set doesn't have water, this one has catered shit, so they treat you differently when you're shooting it and when it's produced. Like people love to pop up like, "Oh, you did the shitty porn," and I'm like, I know, but there was what other opportunities were there? And I thought like porn was so taboo anyway. What's so bad? Like we're fisting people and whatnot. Like the title's probably not the worst thing going on here.
Understood. Now I'm gonna ask you a question. I think I heard on a previous podcast talk about like your top 5, and I felt like the question is more directed to like current or even people you work with. I want to ask you, and I don't know how much of a student of the industry you are. If you had, say, a Mount Rushmore, you don't have to be limited to 4 of the industry, who would you put on that Mount Rushmore?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Like of my favorite people?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's pretty easy. Man, these guys have such nice butts too. I have to put my Johnny Castle up there, my Isaiah Maxwell, Ricky Johnson. Let's see. I really love Jessica Ryan. This girl She's like my underdog. She be just fucking the shit. She's so good. And then I'm gonna sneak in Skin Diamond because she was also a really fun person that I got to fuck. Oh, and then one more woman, Naomi Banks. Oh, that's a pretty good mountain. That's a pretty good mountain.
Yeah, especially with Naomi.
Yeah, there too. She should actually be on the top of the mountain. She's like, I was just like stupefied when I worked with her. Stupefied.
Understood. Now, are you looking to shift more? I mean, no. How is it? What sort of reception have you received being a director or someone who is also a performer as well?
It's kind of hard because on one hand, like, the criticism from what I got of my product is really well, but a lot of girls want to work for Playboy, and I don't think they realize like how limiting it is. Like, I'm not the producer. I'm like one of 8. And I'm also like the newest producer. I'm the only self-made producer. So I have a lot of limitations that I'm working with, and I can't shoot people that frequently. I also fundraise for my shoots. So I will pay everybody on the same day of the shoot, and I will get reimbursed from the company just because I don't like payroll. I prefer if I see a pussy, you should get paid. So,
Makes sense.
It's been a good ride. It's been a fun journey that I'm excited to like continue on. But with everything, every second I like mention it, like I get like a wave of girls. Well, I would love to, and I'm like, I got a list, and I'm checking it twice.
Understood. Now, let me ask you this, again, with the directing, do you see maybe transitioning full time into a director, or maybe in the next couple of years?
No.
Okay.
I like the way I look, and I like taking pictures of myself, filming myself, all that jazz. And there's so many fun people that there are to sample. So I feel like as long as I remain looking like a human, I'm gonna film it. So I'll definitely do more producing and directing, but nah, I'm gonna always put my pussy on the internet.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who are like, thank you.
Yes.
So I have a question for you. This is maybe a bit more personal, not like super personal, but do you have any hobbies?
Oh, yeah, kind of. I really like making charcuterie for my friends.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm pretty good at it. I like to read the room and like learn people's dietary restrictions. My aunt and uncle are chefs. I grew up cooking in my family of a bunch of people, so I'm pretty good at cooking, and charcuterie is like cheating. Not actually cooking, but people think you did. So really fun. I really just like hanging out with girls, and as long as they have like something that smells good and or glitter, that's pretty much my hobby.
Those are very simple requirements too.
The simple life, like I'm just chilling.
Yes. That sounds great. Look, everything should be simple. That's how it really should be, and it's awesome to hear that it's just simple. You're enjoying life, and I am really impressed with you and your accomplishments, especially to be in the industry for so long and to make as many moves as you have. That's really impressive. I'm going to give you a round of applause for that. That's really awesome.
Thank you.
Well, it has certainly been a pleasure, Anna. Anna, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at ANAFOXXX. My Instagram just got deleted for the 5th time, so I don't know what name I'll put on there, but if you search Anna Foxxx, make sure it's not a scammer.
All right, well, thank you, Anna. Oh, yeah.
There's the OnlyFans at Anna Foxxx, and then I have Playboy Centerfold if you just want to see me look sexy. But yeah, that's up to you.
I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people watching, so will probably take you any way that they can.
They're awesome. They're sweet.
Yes. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. You have a great evening.
Thank you.
And that was the beautiful Anna Foxx. And let's talk about something else that was just beautiful, that brought a tear to my eye. Let's talk about season 3 of Star Trek Picard. Now, I'm just going to give an overview just because there's so much to talk about from that season and how it ended, but it's some of the best Star Trek I've seen in a long time. My only qualms with the episodes, or with the series, I should say, is that everything felt kind of rushed. The last 3 episodes, in my opinion, especially after the revelation that the Borg was behind everything that was going on. Again, I would have liked to have seen a Picard story without the Borg involved, especially considering we just had the Borg involved in the previous season. So, I felt like creatively that was a bit lazy, but it was still done so well. It was if you want to look up fan service in the dictionary, Star Trek Picard season 3 should be right there. It was beautiful fan service, but it did all of the characters that we loved justice. It gave all of them complete sort of endings to the stories that we knew, but also with some gave the opening for new beginnings, I should say. So I really enjoyed that as well. It was just such a beautiful Star Trek. Like, this was Star Trek. This was next gen. This was that whole era of 90s, early 2000s Star Trek. It had that feel. It had that heart. It had that character development. Over 10 episodes, every episode felt like a mini movie. There was so much going on. There was so much angst, so much drama, so much character development, so many questions of what's going on to get those questions answered later on. It was just such a well done season. It was just really, really good. And I am glad that I was able to wash the taste out of my mouth of season 2 of Picard. But more importantly, Picard did a beautiful job of setting up, quote unquote, no pun intended, the next generation of Star Trek. Now, as they go into the 25th century with fleshed out characters like Jack Crusher, the evolution of Seven of Nine into who she is as far as Captain Seven of Nine, the introduction of the Forge twins, especially Sydney, not twins, the sisters, but it sets a really good example of how to do Star Trek right, but it just leads into a perfect way to start a new Star Trek series, continuing from all of the old that we knew with the Next Generation and Voyager, and as well as Deep Space Nine. So I am looking forward to hopefully a Star Trek legacy, but Star Trek Picard season 3 was a hell of a way to go out. It was really, in my opinion, one of the best TV finales, series finales ever. Yes, even up there with All Good Things. It was so masterfully done. There is something about seeing a series that is done by people who love the characters, like love and understand them at the core of who they are. And that is what you saw with Terry Mathalis and what he did with season 3 of Star Trek Picard. What a hell of a way to go out. I absolutely love it. Next up, let's talk about something that's a bit closer to Earth for our fragrance of the week. In this case, we're looking at Ascension by Savoir Faire. Now, I've talked about fragrances of Savoir Faire before, and I've always come away impressed, and Ascension is no different. Let's get into the written description, and I'll tell you what I think after we get to the notes as well. It is a fragrance that evokes a feeling of earthly, rich soil with angelic, fresh aroma, and will jolt childhood memories of playing in the dirt with a little water, or smelling the air after it rains, combined with an almost sweet, musky, sexy vibe that continues into the dry down. Now, the notes are blue lotus, papyrus, fresh earth, sandalwood, fig, Haitian vetiver, black pepper, bergamot, white sage, Japanese cedar, and pear musk. Now, the second part of the description I think is more accurate, as it is like air after it rains combined with sweet, musky, sexy vibe. I think that really describes this fragrance. It's an earthiness, but is a musky, sweet sexiness as well. one of the things I like about savoir-faire fragrance is that I've never gotten this standout of one note per se. Like, I get everything. I get the vetiver, I get the pepper, I get the sage, I get the cedar, I get the pear musk. I get a little bit of everything. Like, every time I wear it, it is such a beautiful combination of those notes, and is one that is very ambiguous as far as, like, would it be for a man, would it be for a woman, for he, she, they. It is a fragrance that I think that anyone can wear. I love the way it smells on me. If I smell this on a lady, I will be so intoxicated by the way it smelled on her. It is a fragrance that I think that anybody could wear and pull off. It is just so sexy, and just one of those fragrances that just works no matter who you are, what you're doing. And it's one that I think I could wear in many different circumstances. It's just so good, and that's why I love savoir-faire fragrances, and I can't wait to get my nose on more. So that's our take on savoir-faire, a black-owned business, by the way. Let's talk about Basil and Sage. Now, they're a new sponsor of the podcast as well as Webster Style. They offer a monthly subscription box that features products by all black-owned businesses. This past month, June, we had the Juneteenth box. We had the beard balm, beard oil, the beard brush. It was very heavy on beard grooming, as well as the Juneteenth socks, which are also comfy from Savvy Socks. The boxes retail for $50 a pop. You get more, well, so much more than $50 worth of value in every single box. I would say really the beard balm and the beard oil were probably about $40 by themselves, maybe 35 to 40, but you add in the brush as well as the socks. We're talking about, I think it was about $70 in value, if I remember correctly. So you definitely get your money's worth in that regard. If you're interested in a box, check out Basil and Sage by using our code Sartorial Geek 10 for a discount off of your first box. I don't get kickbacks on that, but I just love the products, love the company. So check it out. Pass on that savings to you. Also, you can become a producer on Patreon, either associate producer, or executive producer for $1, $3, or $5. Check it out, patreon.com/Webster Style. Or, you know what? Pete and Pedro. I've talked to you about that fragrances. I own I own Villain, which is inspired by Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanilla. The 5 fragrances they have in their line are inspired by very popular designer fragrances. They all are phenomenal and offer you a very good way of building your fragrance collection with inspired, if not familiar scents for a fraction of the cost, with just each bottle being $50 for a 50 ml bottle. In addition to that, they offer a whole host of hair and grooming products as well. You can get 10% off of your first purchase with the code EHawks10 or using the link in the show notes. And also, I don't know about you, but I get tired of things like Red Bull and Monster and all these energy drinks. And just the sugar content alone, I think you should try Dubby. Dubby is an energy drink powder. You mix it up, you're good to go. Lower in cost than those other energy drinks, and you can get your first purchase from Dubby with 10% off by using the code WebsterMan or the link in the show notes. And of course, it's Webster Style, the man, the voice of fragrance. You find me all over the internet. You can find me twice a week over at Nerds Rule the World with my man Brian Saff on the NRW Checkpoint. Talk about the latest and greatest in gaming releases. And then you can find me with my man, the legend Kuyapi, and of course, the voiceover king Sean Mongold with K-Faby Baby, the NRW Ring Generals podcast, talking about wrestling all the world and wrestling, everything wrestling, AEW, Impact, WWE, RH, GCW. Doesn't matter if we watch it, we talk about it over there. And then, of course, social media. You can find me on Instagram at Sartorial Geek and Webster Style, on Twitter at Webster Style, and then, of course, TikTok_Webster Style. And, of course, all those things, if you're not on YouTube, you're not on Instagram, you'll find all of the pertinent things all housed in one place, websterstyle.com. Check me out. Drop me an email, info@websterstylemagazine.com. And again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your listening ear. Remember, stay safe out there and be blessed.
Tree Green Tuesday. Had to be Bow Tie Thursday. Had to be. White Wednesday? I don't. Well, I know last time. Well, I wore polka dot. You didn't wear. Alright, forget
Miss
it.
Million, them heels killing them, but I'm sure it's a Thursday. Bow tie Thursday, pasta cream in your heels, looking sharp, babe. Acting like you don't know the rules up in the workplace. Must I remind you it was till on your birthday? Don't get me wrong, I think we killed in the birthdays. And you picked the hella fit for the church day. Let's say you picked the wrist game poet. Now you got the floor filled with bras that you purchase. Pick a color scheme that can match the berry corset. Get the berry cream, get the berry cream, we can make a little scene. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. And see what it seems. If it is what it seems. Do it again. Chicks be looking thick leggings, you know what I mean? I don't know. Take a hint though, don't try to get me out of my mint though. Smoking hot, rocking this pin so thin. Tie hairline, looking like a stencil pimp. No lie, I'm sharper than a utensil. Instrumental, plain dang, homie. I was hoping we could walk out with that bang bang, honey. See them plain James, honey. Them lame frames, funny. We tell it fit it crazy like that thing came on me. Hey, mommy. Look a lady, main thing, want me on the scene. Fit popping like a main vein, running blood color lips, smashing with the hand. Clutch money, holding bag, kinda funny. Can you tell me what's the price tag of the Range Rover? Hang on me when we walking, looking Gucci like that thing sprayed on me. Walking with a limp like an ankle sprained on me. Yeah, I rock the cardigan, she don't really want me because one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. No one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Hey, let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Aim off and on the middle of my lawn. Aim off and on the middle of my lawn. Cause no one man should have all that styling. Take it off, clothes on the floor piling. No one girl should fit it all in them jeans. So take it off and let me see what's under them seams. Oh, you wanted to? Oh, I completely read that wrong.